Welcome to the Beer Can Cold Podcast with your hosts Will Merritt and JG Van Graan, a podcast where the suction line is always beer can cold. Take it away, boys.
And here we are again. One more, my friend. We're almost at 10. We're almost at 10. Thanks, Dougie. So, Shawn, Doug is our one and only paid employee. We paid $3.50 for him. He's an AI voice. He brings us in every week. Never calls out sick. Best employee ever. By the way, Will, it's time for his review. So you should probably get ready to give him a raise or something. I don't know.
Love reviews.
So welcome back, everybody, to the Beer Can Cold Podcast. I'm actually found a very good little picture that describes our name. So I'm actually going to pop it up as the thumbnail for this week. Maybe that'll get us some better understanding of where we go with this, Will. But again, it's Wednesday afternoon, and this is for the owners I work for. I'm at Guinness Zero Alcohol again, but this week I jazzed it up. Well, I got my Bohr Brothers koozie to keep your can cold, you know, so that's part of it there.
And I've got my Adam Gertz's koozie from Gertz Plumbing and Heating in New Hampton, Iowa.
There we go.
Mine. So we'll crack it. It is a can. It's a can bottle. So go ahead, buddy. You want to introduce Mr. Shawn? He's your guest this week. We're very happy to have a special guest on this week, Shawn Monte. He is the director of sales for McCall's Supply, based in South Carolina, and we've known each other for a few years now. And so, we're glad to have you on, Shawn. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Glad to be part of it. Unfortunately, I am not partaking. I've got a coffee here, so I apologize.
No problem for that at all. Like I said, we're super laid back. We'll forgive you this time. So we'll have to do this one more time, right? Maybe around a fire pit. Well, we keep saying it.
Well, I think that will be one of the ultimate goals. We get something outdoors, sitting around the fire. So that would be nice. Yes. But we were just having the discussion, everyone, that we got about 30 days until the world catches on fire.
Yes.
At least that's what we're hoping in the heat and air conditioning business.
Yeah.
I did see 80 next Friday, like 79 Monday, 82 Friday. So it's just starting to dabble in the heat a little bit. I actually had my maintenance done today for my home. So
80 just doesn't, it doesn't excite me yet.
No. Well, we need 90 plus in the South, but we're in phase one of the snow pollen.
Yes.
In the South right now, everything's yellow.
Yes.
So and it's bothering everybody's allergies, mine included.
Yeah, it's rough.
So, my son's. So.
That is rough for sure.
So.
Shawn, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. I have to tell you, how long have you been with McCall's now?
Actually, next week will be 1 year, so
okay.
Not too terribly long.
That's good. Then I'm not. I'll tell you later why I asked that question. I actually, okay. When I was a territory manager, lost an account to McCall's, and it was well fought. Me and the territory manager went at it, and it was really well fought. It was well done, and I wanted to give you kudos. I didn't lose many in my career, but that was one. So well done.
There you go. Yeah, it's a good company for sure. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I got an HVAC, probably about 6 years ago. Just by chance, I had a recruiter reach out to me that was looking to fill a role. Previously, I was out in Southern California, born and raised in SoCal. So
awesome.
I'm a California guy through and through. For the California listeners, like I relate. But had somebody reach out to me. I was in a different industry and said, hey, we're looking for a regional manager for heating and cooling supply. And things just kind of worked out. Ended up landing position with those guys and was with heating and cooling supply for, probably 3 years. Started with them back in 2019 and really enjoyed what I was doing. Really started to make some progress in the San Diego and LA markets. Next thing I know, I got tapped on the shoulder to step up to the vice president of sales for the Southeast position. So that's what brought me out to the Southeast about 3 years ago now, a little over 3 years ago. Stepped into that role for a couple of years with Jim Air, basically the sister company to Heating and Cooling Supply.
Mm-hmm.
And did that, like I said, for a couple of years. And then this opportunity came up with McCall's about a year ago, and was excited to get into a family-owned company that just the culture is amazing and just a fun place to be. A lot of ability to really make some decisions and It's so interesting, working and I worked for other larger companies in my life, but having that kind of that number, so to speak. I know people say that a lot, but never more true, obviously, within a large company like a Watsco company. Great company, by the way, but stepping into the McCall's, really feel like, you're part of a family again. So it's worked out well.
Me and Will started when we worked together. We worked for family owned, and they're still family owned, but in a bigger aspect now. But you're right, man. And there's the culture word again, right? And so it's like
comes back every week.
It comes back every week, and it's like that culture was insane, man. If you can actually, and it's the funny thing was the owner's name was Ken Baker. I could pick up my cell phone and call him at any time and he'll answer. And that was huge for me as a young guy getting kind of in this industry. So no, I get it. The family aspect of it is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we came. Most of my career, or in the distribution side, Shawn, it was independently owned distribution. I think we'll talk a little bit about that. Just we've all got some experience, and Ferguson originally, but most of the career in the independent distribution, which Ferguson was considered that too, but then the more family owned and family run, which I think made a difference. How we did things, like you said, you made decisions that were right for the customer.
Yes.
That was typically what happened first. But before we get too deep, SoCal guy, and I see Andre Rison jersey in the back, and Jones from the Braves, Andrew Jones, and a Deion Sanders. So I think I saw something on social media the other day on your personal. You had a Atlanta flag. I thought it was Alabama at first. I was like, no, I looked at it again. That's an Atlanta flag. So why don't you tell us how did that come about? If you're a SoCal guy and you're pulling for all Atlanta teams.
Yeah, kind of a funny story. So when I was younger, I've got two older brothers. One's 7 years older, the other one is 10 years older. And kind of being that annoying little brother, I'm sure if you've got a brother or sister, you know how that goes, or maybe you were that person. But that was me as we were younger. So my dad loved to take us over the Dodger games, and we go out there probably once a month and catch a Dodger game. But if you guys recall back late 80s, early 90s, Dodgers were really good. They won the World Series, I think, in 88 or 89. And so they're off to a pretty good run. But the Braves and the Dodgers went back and forth all the time. And so being, again, that annoying little brother, I decided I was going to start rooting for the Braves. I could come home from school. They were on TBS every day. I could sport the gear, just, kind of rub it in. And so it kind of stuck. And then Deion Sanders just got to be one of my favorite players ever. Just the ability to do so many different things, right? Between football and baseball. And so I really enjoyed watching him. And it, like I said, it stuck. So I've been a fan since I was probably, 8 or 9.
Yeah. Is that Chipper Jones then, or is that Andrew Jones jersey?
Chipper.
Okay. I was questioning myself. I said, I bet you that's Chipper Jones when you said the late 80s, the early 90s. That's funny.
You can't really see it, but there's a bunch of baseballs up there too, signed by pretty much most of the 90s, baseball players, Glav and Avery, all those guys. So
won one World Series. That was so frustrating,
Yeah. It was fun though.
Yeah, no, it's funny. My business partner, Dave Bowen, he lived in Atlanta for quite a bit of time. So he's still more of a football than a baseball fan. But he's still a fan of the Dirty Birds. So,
yeah. Good stuff. And, obviously being in Southern California, you got access to so many teams too, between football, baseball, basketball. It's pretty much all there. But I always found myself going right back where I started.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome. So on the just to switch gears back a little bit to the distribution thing, tell us a little bit about what you guys do at McCall's.
So McCall Supply is a family-owned distributor. Been around for 55 years, on the third generation McCall right now.
That's awesome.
So Constance McCall is currently the president and CEO. Does a phenomenal job. She's been with the company for a little over 30 years now, I believe, and again, that entire family networking is great. But for us, we provide the Root equipment. So we go to market with Root, and then also Samsung on the ductless products, obviously offering all the supplies and everything else that goes along with that. So, but great company from a standpoint of the people. I mean, we were in a meeting last week. We had our spring kickoff meeting. I went around the room and I had to just reintroduce everybody for our new Root representative, and you start asking people, how long have you been here? And, the average, I think we figured out in the room was probably somewhere between 17 and 18 years on average.
Yes.
Well, that speaks volumes.
It does.
If people are hanging around that long. So, oftentimes in distribution, you get guys that move around a lot. I used to see it, a lot.
Yeah.
It is good.
It's impressive. So they're doing something right. Long before I got here, they figured it out. I'm just trying to add to it.
It's take care of the customer.
I'll tell you, man, in my career, this right now where I'm at now, I had to do a lot of different things in my career to sit where I'm sitting now. And I know everything built me to be where I am. But I'll tell you that 12 and a half years in that distribution job as a territory manager was some of the most fun years that I had. You get to do a lot of fun things with your customers. You get to see them, on a weekly basis and that type of stuff. But that culture has died away a little bit. I was wondering how it's with McCall's, but sitting in the seat as the operations manager here now, I hardly see territory managers. Everything is via phone and text and stuff now. And this is not the way I do it. So one of the things we did is we're getting ready to hire a purchasing manager. And one of the rules are going to be if you want me to buy from you, twice a month I need to see you. Like my purchasing manager needs to see you twice a month, or I'm sorry, POs are going to dry up. Yeah, I want to know what's going on, because here I went and I downloaded the price increases on bits and pieces, not equipment, just like PVC and that type of stuff from January to now. If you don't keep up with that stuff, it's going to hurt. You're going to get to the end of Q2 and you're going to wonder why the cogs are upside down. It's because you had a price increase on PVC, bath fans, and everything else in between. So yeah, I think that's a big thing. It's a part of the culture that has died, I think. And maybe it's just with us. Maybe it's just because the brothers told them to stay away for so long, but I don't see it anymore.
Well, we know we were territory managers. It's intimidating.
Oh, it is.
You work at a big outfit, and it's hard to get in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say the little short time I sat on the contractor side is all day long. Somebody knocking on the doors open. Hey, can I talk to your family? Sure.
Yeah.
And it's constant. But I tell you, I've heard so many contractors tell me, and I don't know if it's partly from the COVID thing or not, but the reps don't go out and enter the businesses anymore like they used to.
That's weird, man. I don't know how I don't know how you build the relationship otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, Shawn, what do you guys see?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, COVID was a killer for trying to get out there and get in front of folks and really build that rapport. It's a lot more phone calls, a lot more of what we're doing right now, the Zoom calls and things of that nature, but you just never get the same, it doesn't have the same effect, right? I mean, it's one thing to jump on a call, people are distracted, they've got a million things going on, they're checking their phone, they're doing this, they're doing that. So it's really hard to grab their attention. You really have to be in front of them. And then to take it one step further, to really build that rapport with their folks, and to make sure that they know that you're invested, doing some of the events after hours, right? Top golf, that type of stuff, or dinner, or whatever it may take, to really spend some time outside of the business and understand what else is affecting them. Because, that's just one piece of it. It's a big piece, but that's one piece of what they're doing is happening within the four walls. And then they've got family and all kinds of other stuff that going on as well that you want to, understand and really try to see if you can, assist them with anything that'll, make their life a little easier. So.
What are you guys seeing? What are you guys seeing in the distribution side now with all this talks of tariffs and stuff?
Yeah, it's
loaded question, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's not over yet.
Early on, JT. We're only 15 minutes in. You drop a bomb.
Come on, man. I tell you, when you told me we we're going to talk about this, I got really excited because I want to know.
Well, I'm glad somebody did.
No, I was just wondering what you see, kind of a 10,000-foot view. What's the word on the
street? I mean, you just don't know. Sorry not to cut you off, but you just don't know. I mean, I think April 2nd, that's when we're going to find out, what's supposed to stick, I guess. But as of right now, I mean, you pointed out, early on in the conversation that price increases have gone up, right? Everybody's using this opportunity to take advantage of the tariff discussion. So we're seeing it just like you guys are seeing it. It's not over. I mean, we got a couple of price increases that came through from some manufacturers this last week. And their price increase says this is the price increase based on what we know today. Anticipate a potential new price increase in the next 30 days.
Well, what year was it that we had like 4 equipment price increases in a year?
I remember.
Oh my God.
One a year was hard enough.
Yes.
But so it's like 3 or 4 in 1 year. And now it's like you guys, every time I talk to somebody, they're just like, yeah, you quotes are good for, maybe 30 days when they give it to someone, maybe 10 days,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And I don't think that, again, I just don't think it's going to get much better until maybe, hopefully it starts to level set in the next, maybe 30, 60, 90 days. But as we go into summer, I mean, it's a terrible time to have this happen because to your point, I feel really bad for the contractors. They're out there, bidding stuff and not really knowing for sure exactly what's going to happen. So there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah. Well, and the piece that's tough, right, is the communication between the distributors and the contractors may be really good because we live it every day. The communication between the contractors and the homeowners is rough because now my guy's sitting at a kitchen table, customers getting blindsided because they bought a system last year and now the system is so much more expensive. Well, why is that happening? Why are you? So, there's some discussion internally here. It's like we need to get some information out to our customers because, yes, they hear tariffs on the news. They don't necessarily tie that back to the air conditioning unit. So it's like, to have those conversations is going to be really important for the contractors as well. Let's get doing some marketing internally to your own customers saying, hey, it's tough out here. Like, please bear with us. We're doing the best for you we can. For sure.
Yeah. We just did that with actually a friend of Shawn's out in California. We just did an email blast, I believe, last week saying that potentially tariffs can affect pricing to the Blairs. We did it last week. I was in the platform looking. I saw the little thing. It said, tariffs increasing prices starting in April, possibly. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we sent it out to their customer base to let them know that maybe potentially they had gotten a quote or they know their system is its time to be replaced before summer, and they're just letting them know. So I think you're right, JG. Communication is key, and it's going to have to be the contractor to the consumer.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. And financing's always been important, but it'll never be as important as it is now, right? I mean, the cost of these systems continue to grow, and so that's one of the things that McCall's are trying to do is, help educate, our contractors on the value of the financing and how we can help them incorporate it into their everyday proposal so that it's not something that ends up being a very awkward conversation at the end of the pitch. Basically they introduce it early on and do it often. They get, better closing ratios and looking at ways to build in that financing piece into the actual job cost. So, now they can look at that and go, hey, whether you take the financing or not, the pricing is going to be consistent, right? It's not like I have to go back and start to mark it up because you want financing.
Yeah.
That's a very challenging conversation.
No, it is.
Well, the consumer doesn't like that. Hey, look, here's this math. Hey, let me do this. I'll be out to my truck. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Give them one price. And, we had those discussions at the meetings we did with you guys a couple of weeks ago. Give them the financing people, and they were spot on with it. Figure out what the actual cost to you as a contractor is. And then, we used to be taught this, do the math on how many jobs you actually financed, and then maybe skew it, a little bit towards on the heavy end. That way, if they do pay cash, you're better off. But if they do finance, you're covered.
Yeah.
Right. I gotta believe it's got to be the key though the next year, especially as things are changing. So, and that's one of the things we've been doing a lot of lately is really, when it came to McCall's, again, just a very established company, but more of a culture of I want to cautiously say order taking versus maybe consultative selling.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been really kind of focusing on what we can do to help the contractors close more business, get more leads, increase their lead closing, drive the average ticket, job costing, all that kind of stuff. So we recently did some contractor summits and brought in financing, brought in Effective to talk about marketing, obviously, Prime Warranty to talk about extended warranties and driving some of the, separating themselves from everybody else, but also, increasing the average ticket. And then we also had Praxis come in and talk a little bit about the software that's available for proposals. So, but yeah, we're really trying to focus on how can we help the contractors, because it's tough out there, right? And all those different tools, give them a new platform, hopefully, that they're not using them to do those things I just mentioned. So,
no, I agree. Yeah. And the consultative selling is something that we were big at Virginia Air, and it was the difference maker a lot of times between us walking through the door and even some of the big logos, the orange and the blue ones, right? It's like when we sat down with our customers, we could look at a P&L and help them. We can help them plan things out versus just bringing donuts, putting it on the kitchen table, and asking for the next order. So I'm so happy to hear you guys are actually taking that approach, because it's huge. And I'll tell you, sitting in the seat, I might not need help looking at my P&L, but I might need you to help me guide and understand what you're seeing coming down the industry, so I can plan my next 30, 60, 90 days, right? So it's huge. That consultative selling piece, man. And I'll tell you, my son has a real inkling to become a territory manager, and from an early he's just now graduating college, and my message to him keep being, if you want to do this, that's great, but don't be the sales guy, be the guy that helps, right? And I will teach him as much as he would like to absorb from me, but it's like, go in there and be the consultant, be the helper. You actually effectively are an employee for that company the time you spend with them. You might not
stop
be
selling, start helping.
That's right.
It's a quote from, I remember who it is. It's a quote from somebody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a really big deal, and I'm glad to hear you guys are doing that.
Yeah, it's definitely needed too. I mean, I think a lot of folks, unfortunately, a lot of distributors have kind of gone away from that, and I think COVID played a part of that. Obviously, it was real easy to get distracted or to make excuses for why you're not doing it. But we've been out of COVID for several years now, and so it's time to get back out there and get after it.
That's right. If government employees have to get back to work, right? Let's get out there.
It's funny though. It still is. I think that mindset is still out there. Mm-hmm. And I said we used to hear it as TMs, JG and I did. Like, oh, I never see my guy. I'm like, well, why are you still buying from him? I'm in here every week,
Because if I don't, I'll surely die. I'll go out of business. No, you won't. Let me help you.
It's about you, not about the brand.
That's right.
It's about your company brand.
Change is hard. I mean, that's the one thing I've realized over the last 6 years in this industry is change is hard for sure.
And that's a good thing. I know we've got kind of a list of questions, but we used to talk about this, and I want to interject on this, Shawn, is for contractors out there or potential distributor salespeople, brand salespeople, it's like an act of Congress to change brands of equipment.
Yes.
And I see it on our marketing side too, from someone to switch if they're using another marketing company that's doing our website and all this stuff to go to it's a big deal. And it is a major deal, it's another 3-ton condenser, it's another 95% furnace. Well, no, everything's a little different. The wiring's different. The drain trap on the furnace is different. And everybody they deal with is different. So that's again, it's a full court press effort to get a company to switch. And so maybe we're throwing a little thing out there to some of you people, salespeople in the industry that, you got to go see these guys.
Yes.
It's hard to get them to switch. Trust me, it was, a lot of times you just got lucky. I remember a wise guy, JG, you'll know who said this, used to say is, it's all about the pain point.
That's right.
And
dig for the pain.
You got to be in more pain right now with who you're currently working with than it's going to be the pain to switch to the other brand. So, because it's going to be painful to switch, but you got to be in a lot of pain now. I won't mention any names of who said that, but I think you know who I'm talking about.
Well, the other piece to that is be patient too, right? It took me 10 years to flip a multi-million-dollar contract. It was, it took me that long of being friends with them, going in every month, just sitting around, drinking a cup of coffee, didn't sell them much. And I said the right thing at the right time. And the guy said, I need you to come to my office right now. And 6 months later, we were his primary equipment guy, right? And then the funny thing was he came on board with one brand, and then I said, you really need to go to this primary brand of ours. This is really the better thing. No, I'll buy this. And with 2 months later, I had him buy the other brand. So it's like it was just that consultative piece of sitting down all the time and making sense to him and not selling him anything, just talking to him about it. But yeah, be patient, because the biggest victories take some time. It's not it's not going to be quick. And actually, to that point, yesterday we had our main guy in here. We sat him down in the conference room. We had the regional all the way down, and we laid out the complaints, right? Because in nothing against the people that service us from that brand, but it's like there's issues, there's quality issues, and it's showing. right? And don't come and tell me I don't know how to install it. We're pretty good at that piece of it, right? So it's all about that, having that relationship, and we iron some things out. But yeah, it's be the consultative guy. Don't be the sales guy.
Yeah.
And
sometimes too, I mean, one of the things I really try to stress to the team is, sometimes you might get a small win, right? A win's a win. So,
yes.
I don't care if you're out there and you happen to, offer a private label thermostat, and that just happens to be something that kind of in their mind goes, you know what, we've been talking about that for a while, and now we need to do it.
Yes.
Or it could be an IAQ product that's private labeled or whatever. I mean, just, getting your foot in the door so they can see the service. It's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to deliver, right? So, you buy one small product from me, but it's the best experience you've had in a long time. You may want to try some other products with us.
That's right. So. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. What do you guys, what pain points, what are you guys seeing with this refrigerant change?
What aren't we seeing? I mean, the ability to get the refrigerant right now, the 454 refrigerant, to actually physically get it is next to impossible in some cases. I mean, I'm sure you guys are experiencing that, on the contractor side. It comes in and it's gone out the door, as it lands, it's literally going right back out the door. So the refrigerant itself, obviously the equipment itself, there's been some lag in some of the models, being able to get the product up and out the door. So we've had some challenges there. We're starting to get healthy again, which is great. But boy, there was a 60-day period of time where, it wasn't ideal. Yeah, luckily, it was a slower part of the year, so it's going to happen. I guess is the best time to happen, but it doesn't help your P&L. The other thing too, the biggest thing though that I hear, and I'm sure you guys can relate, is training.
Yes.
So much fear around the new refrigerant. What's it going to do? Is it going to catch on fire? Is it going to explode? One of the things we were looking at was a Hardy had put out a report for the distributors, and we would talk a little bit about some of the things that the contractors wanted. And when it came to training, number one thing they talked about was they feel like they don't have enough A2L training. That about 36%, I think it was, or 38%, had talked about they're not prepared to go out there and install the new equipment.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we've been installing it for a little bit now, but we took a little bit of a different approach. So I hooked up with ESCO a while back when I was still with I did a stint at a software company for a little while that did some HVAC software, and I got to know the ESCO people there pretty well. And so I have 5 guys here that's proctors for ESCO. So we actually took and we did the training with our guys here in-house. And then we actually certified our entire group, the installers. And so we have about 30 installers, and then we have 18 service techs. So we sat them all down. We gave them all the tests. We actually were able to find the test in Spanish too. I hired somebody to come in and do an 8-hour session, PowerPoint presentation in Spanish for the guys. We trained them up, and we found that the information was out there through ESCO was really good. And so we got everybody, and I know that you don't have to have everybody certified, but we did. We just bit the bullet and said, everybody's going to have a certificate for this refrigerant so that it helps with if there is ever a liability issue, right? No, we did the training. We did what we're supposed to. But I know I've talked to several contractors in the area, and they're like, yeah, we're sending some guys to training, but we're not going to take any more steps than that. So ESCO has a plethora of information on their website.
That's good to know too. I actually made a note because I'm not familiar with them, so
yeah,
always looking for.
Yeah, I can shoot you the email information for those people, but they're pretty much the NATE equivalent. And I know everybody's going to say, "Oh, nobody is equivalent to NATE." Well, the ESCO is, and so they're a great group of people and very open to doing stuff like that. So we're actually looking here to start really focusing on having tiered levels for our technicians, and for them to get to the next pay level or the next level, they have to pass that ESCO exam, right, for that level. If you want to go to being the heat pump expert, pass it. We'll move you to level 2. So we're just trying to get a little bit more structured what we're trying to do with our techs here.
No, I love it, and I wish more people took a proactive approach like that.
Well, we're a pretty unique company. We have a pretty big vision here, and it's a long-term play, right? So it's going to take me a minute to get there. But yeah, that level piece, building those levels up is really good. And we hired a service manager that wasn't from the industry, and a lot of this is coming from him. He sees the value. He's got some really outside of the box thinking type of stuff going on, and I love it. He's a good guy, man. It's all good stuff. So, but it's not about me today. It's about you. So sorry for derailing it.
No, I like it. I'm taking some notes. I'm learning something as we go.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with them either. I've heard JG talk about. I've heard of them, but I've heard of Nate is the one I've known for years. So it's good to know.
We offer training, obviously. McCall's will, we put on so many A2L classes over the last year plus. But it's just tough. I mean, it's tough to get people in the door. It's tough, for them to take that time out. If it's a busy, we get a little bit of a heat wave or a cold snap or whatever the case may be. It's real easy to push off the training and do something else. So it's nice to have that flexibility to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, no, it is. And, same with what you just said, it's like we'll commit to classes. Actually we went to a business class, me and service manager, a couple of other managers in Charlotte. It was an overnight. And that's the night that the ice storm came in. And I was fully planning on staying the next day until I figured out I got to send 17 texts on the road and it's icy. So we got up at 4 a.m. and came back, missed the second day, but it just happens in the contractor life. So I feel a lot of times for you guys and the stuff you do to put these trainings on. I know that when we were at Virginia, it was so hard to get people through the door to sit down for, a couple of hours. But it's important. You have to keep educating. So we take a pretty big approach to that here. Like we have to keep training. And it's actually something we offer the guys as part of their compensation package. We tell them that, this is the amount of money we're going to spend on you on training. Like we're trying to get you better. So it's part of a promise we make to our employees too. It's important. The training aspect is huge. I think so. Yeah. And if you don't train them, somebody else will. So you may as well do it.
Yeah. Or they develop a lot of bad habits. One of the two.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Absolutely. So kind of where do you see the future going? What do you think is next? I heard we're switching refrigerants again. As soon as we got this one in and nicely settled, I heard it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I heard that too. I don't know any details, but I heard the rumblings of it.
I punched the guy in the face that told me that and walked away, so he couldn't finish his sentence.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, I think it's 2028 was the next time they were going to take a look at it. But, supposedly the 454 product is supposed to be something that is the better of the two between the R32 and the 454. Again, I can't say with any certainty, but my understanding is they would probably lean toward staying with 454 if that's the case. But, we're still 5 years, well, actually not that far away. Shoot, we're only about 3 or 4 years away from that. So,
it happens all the time. Well, we're far away. No, we're not.
Yeah. I just want to get through this transition.
Amen.
Man, we just got 410A right. We just learned how to properly charge 410A. Give us a minute.
I saw that little blurb last week or the week before that there's rumblings of trying to bring 410A back.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I did
see that as well.
I got 4 skids of it in my warehouse, so I'm ready. Bring it back. Oh, no.
Hang on to it long enough, it might be worth a fortune. You never know. It'd be like R32.
Well, I'll tell you, we got a great buy on it right before Christmas, and I bit the bullet and I put it all away. I didn't tell anybody we have it. I locked it up because in the summertime when it really spikes, that's when we'll unlock it. We'll break that out because we got a really good buy on about 4 pallets of it, and I'd rather use that during the summer when everyone else is paying premium.
Yeah.
So that was for sure. So, but really good stuff. So, what do you guys kind of see? Where is your locations within McCall's? Like I know the one store that I competed against was in Lumberton, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So where are you guys? What's your footprint?
Footprint is kind of unique. So basically we cover all of South Carolina, and then we kind of step into North Carolina on the eastern side. So today we have the Lumberton branch and the Goldsboro branch. We've got a pretty good customer base in the Wilmington market, even though we don't have a brick and mortar there today.
Okay.
So we do quite a bit of business up in that market as well. And then basically we step into Savannah. So we have a branch in Savannah, and then we've got a branch down in North Augusta that kind of services a little bit of the mostly South Carolina, but a little bit of that Georgia market on the corner there. So overall, we've got 18 locations. And, the thing that's really interesting since I came on board about a year ago is we were starting to really look at the locations and put some money back into them. We recently remodeled a couple of locations. We just got done remodeling our Florence location. Beautiful, added a training room, redid the showroom. just a lot of things happening. But the other thing too that we're working on that I'm really excited about is e-commerce. So
Oh yeah.
e-commerce is something we're hoping to launch, soft launch, probably sometime summerish, summertime. And so we're going to kind of play that by ear, because no better time to launch e-commerce than in summer. I mean,
what can go wrong?
You're just getting ready for the winter in the next spring,
So we're but that will be a game changer for us, though. That'll obviously allow us to now service these customers after hours. Have the visibility of inventory, pricing, printing your own price books, paying your bill. I mean, all the stuff that a lot of the other competitors right now offer. We'll be able to now join the ranks and really just catch up to the 21st century. So
that's awesome. That Wilmington market you mentioned. So when I was a territory manager, that was part of my territory, and boy, that's a tough market. Raleigh is tough, but Wilmington is really tough. If you've got a footprint there, that's really good. It was really tough for us to break into that market. I wasn't super successful at it, and there was a lot of distributors down there. So good on you if you're having some footprint there. That's a great market. My thing was always with our old boss is like, okay, open the branch down there and we'll just move down there. Like I'll go work out of that branch, but then the customers has to come first. So no, that market is a tough market to get into, and it's outdoor units lasts 6 years there, so it's lucrative. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the San Diego market that I was in prior to. It was like you put a unit on one of these houses along the coast, and you're coming back 4 or 5 years to do something.
How did you?
Great business model. I love it.
How did you guys manage the traffic in San Diego and being a distributor? I mean, how on earth, like that whole California, isn't the traffic like crazy out there? Not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm just born and raised there. You kind of get used to it. You don't know what you don't know, right? So when you step away from it for a while, you're like, man, it is crazy out there. But you start to get really creative. You come in a little early, right? You try to beat the traffic in the morning, or maybe you just wait until 9:30 to take off because traffic dies down a little bit, so you can try to beat that window between 8 o'clock and lunch. So you gotta understand the patterns of the traffic. You got to work with your contractors. That's where there's a little bit more consignment going on out there because people didn't want to have to wait for deliveries.
Yeah.
So you figure out a way around it, but it can make for some long days, that's for sure.
I remember, so I ran, when I was in a service truck, I did a lot of work in Washington, D.C., and we lived in Frederick, Maryland. And I remember you would get on that belt line, and if you get on there at like 6:05, you're fine. You get on 6:10, you're in traffic. But I remember running in front of that wave that's coming, and you see this wave coming in from Maryland, and you got your foot through that van, gas pedal, just to try to stay ahead of it, because you get stuck in that. The first call is a dud. So yeah, traffic was interesting, in that DC area too. It's like, and then if you get done in DC at about 4 o'clock, getting home, you're not home till 8. It's just it's what it's going to be. So yeah, it was interesting times. Traffic sucks.
They had toll roads out there in California. They still do, obviously, but the toll roads, when they first opened back, early 2000s, late 90s, they were like $1 to go through the toll road, right? So I remember it was probably about 5 years ago now, so I can only imagine what it is today. But I was getting off of work in Orange County. I lived out in the Riverside County area, so it's about a 20-mile journey. On a good day, it should take you about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Jump on the 91 freeway out there and jump in the fast track. Fast track was $42 one way.
Good Lord.
On a Friday at like 3:30, right? You jump in that thing, yeah, you know.
I have a bill from the other weekend going up 77 all the way up to Mount Airy, and it was backed up. So I jumped in the fast lane, and it said what do they do? You live up that way, Shawn.
Yeah.
Like premium high traffic or whatever. So anyway, one way trip. I don't think we did it on the way back because there's no traffic. It was $33.70.
It's crazy.
I don't have a thing because I'm not traveling, in the toll lanes very much. So I gotta get on their website and pay it, I guess. But I told my wife, I said, probably $5, something like that, $4, $33.
It's $4 every station. There's like 6 stations.
So
that's how they get you.
Last
but the
year,
best part of that, so I pay the $42. I get in the fast track, and I'm not kidding you guys when I tell you we went about 3 miles and it was a complete stop. So now you're stopped over here. You're looking at the guy next to you, stop next to you, but I got to save $42.
Yeah.
You're paying to sit still.
That's right.
I will tell you though. So last year, May, I coached a high school girls team, and we had a really good team last year. So we got an invite to go to nationals, which was in Wisconsin. So we looked at flying, too expensive. So we looked at charter buses, too expensive. So one of the parents said, "Well, wait a minute. I got a really big RV. So why don't we rent another RV and we take the 2 RVs and go 4 drivers, 2 RVs? It's, what can go wrong? It's 18 hours worth of driving or something." So we pile like 25 girls plus a couple coaches in these 2 RVs with a bunch of parents following. And so we go, well, by the time we go up there, we hit Chicago right at traffic, and I'm driving, right? So we go through Chicago traffic with these big RVs. Never touched anything, by the way. Made it through the West Virginia mountains, everything. We get there, do our thing, did really well. I think we ended up second in tier 2. And on the way back, and we were home for like 2 weeks, I get this thing in the mail. It was like something like $125 in tolls that we hit with those RVs, 2 RVs, there and back. It was insane. But I would not go any other way but the toll road to go to go that way, because all the other roads were, if you looked on your Google Maps, everything was just red all around, and then the toll roads was running. So, but yeah, that was crazy. That was a lot of toll money.
Well, I think about that too. Like to your point, though, Will. I mean, the contractors that make that journey every day, they gotta factor that into their job. I mean,
Yes.
literally, right? I mean, they're up there every single day, multiple times a day. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a contractor that, and them, they do business by boat every day.
Yep.
At Wilmington and going out to Bald Head Island. And I think they told me the first year they were down there, and I'm probably way off on this, but it was $20,000 in ferry fees. And so they have 2 boats now.
Yeah.
So I actually got to make the ride with them one morning. And I keep telling Jay, I'm like, Jay, this is social media gold here. This is the morning commute on the boat, and it was fun. It was, we got out there, met them at like 7 a.m. or 6:30, whatever it was. Jackson and I, and Kirsten, we were down there to take some pictures and stuff. It's like, man, this is a pretty cool commute. And then we took the ferry home.
So they have customers. They have customers on the island. So they have.
They actually have a location there now. Their new shop. They rented a space, but they have another location there, and they kind of own the island, so to speak.
Wow.
It's funny. When the last time I was there on the island, Jay's like the mayor. Every time we turn around, like everybody would walk, "Hey, Jay!" I'd stop, talk, shake hands,
No kidding,
and stuff. And so they have a shop out there, and I think their new one, Jessica told me, they're pretty much ready. I think they're landscaping right now, so they were renting a little space. So they built a building.
That's got to be the dream, though, man. To have a little heating and
it's
air
like
shop.
It's another world out there. If you've never
awesome.
been to Bald Head Island, Sean's been there. It's another world.
Okay, I think we should go do a podcast from his new shop or something. That sounds to me like a great
cool
idea.
Experience when he takes you on the boat out there, and you're like cruising along. You're like, "This is your commute to work every day."
So awesome. You could drop a line. I'm going to be late to my first service call a little bit because the whatever's biting at the point. Like I would do that. It's awesome.
That's a cool place. That's the only time I've ever been there. I've heard good things about it, and we've talked about possibly vacationing there. I think it's pretty expensive, but no, it's like another world on that place. Very, very cool place to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's such a cool story too, and I won't go into it, but it is a great story of how that whole thing got started. So
yeah, maybe that's a episode for them to be on. So
no, absolutely.
So what's next on our docket here? I know we got a couple things. Where do we see things going? Future of the industry.
The biggest impact on the industry. I would like to know what you think for 2025. What do you think this is going to be?
I mean, it's got to be. We kind of touched on it already, but it's got to be the tariffs. Obviously, what's going to potentially happen with that. Economic pressures, right? I mean, just trying to figure out what that's going to look like. I hear that R word being thrown around lately, and it scares me, makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
But I got to believe. I mean, I think the outside pressures will probably be as much as the internal pressures. The stuff that we can't control is really going to determine, I think, 25 for us.
Yeah, I just wonder where consumer confidence is right now. I know we still got inflation, interest rates are still high. I think some of that stuff may start to change, but you just wonder. Like I said, we're in this industry, us three. I think about it. I live, eat, and breathe it. But to be the average homeowner, that we always talk about this, especially on the marketing side, they're not thinking about, I'm going to replace my heating and air conditioning system this year.
Yeah.
And to think like, they're just, it's out of sight, out of mind. And it runs until it doesn't run. And then to be thinking like, okay, is anybody thinking proactively? Is that service maintenance tech, letting them know that you're coming to that time, and prepping them for that. And I think it goes back to financing too, Shawn, like you said earlier, being ready for that. Cause I don't think people are ready. And I don't think they understand how much the cost is today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talk about, like you said, JG, like a year later, why it's so much more expensive. I had both systems replaced in my home in 2 years, and the smaller tonnage system 2 years later costs more than the larger tonnage. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we're seeing, because we did our L10. We do EOS here. Shawn, I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's EOS is like an operating system on how you run your company. And we had our L10 leadership meeting this morning, and I shared the scoreboard with the leadership. And what we're seeing is we were very blessed in March. We closed a couple of really big jobs with the University of North Carolina, and so that's really helping out. But our conversion rate's off. And so my service managers, my infield and my service managers, really focusing on average ticket right now, and they're focusing on conversion rate, like so $0 tickets. We don't want very many of those, and it's dipped. The conversion rate's dipped, but the average ticket's up. And so what that's telling me is it plays into consumer confidence a little bit, right? So I'm going to hold off on this repair. However, what we're seeing on our because we also have kitchen refrigeration. And so those are not point of COD customers. Those are that we bill them. Unfortunately, that you can't always collect right on site with those guys, and we're having a little hard time collecting. So again, it's kind of pointing to me to the point that people are holding money a little bit longer at this point. So not great, right? But we are seeing our technicians understanding that piece too, and so they're working kind of through it with the homeowners when they have these conversations. The upfront contracts are important. How are you going to pay for today's visit? Like, how can we help with that? So it's a big deal. But we're transitioning more to the COD platform. Like, we got behind on being a COD company a little bit, so it's one of our big rocks. And we got the guys card scanners, and I'm happy to report that we found out at the meeting today that we have 100% collection rate with the guys that have scanners. So we know that this is the path we want to go down. But yeah, the consumer confidence, and I'm seeing it with my maintenance department too, where the guys normally offer the attic tents. They offer these options to the customers. We're not a hard sell company. We just offer, and that's dipped a little bit. And so I'm just seeing people holding money. They're holding a little tighter.
Have you guys, just out of curiosity, have you guys looked at any type of leasing programs to offer?
Not here. So I had some experience with it when I was with Virginia Air. We offered it to our customers there. Here, it's a very unique market where we are in Chapel Hill. It's a fairly affluent market. And so we don't even finance as much as I think we should, because we have customers that pay cash and pay right up front, and we're not cheap. So I don't know how leasing programs are going to go over here. We've not dove into that yet. I know they exist, but we haven't jumped into them yet. No.
Yeah, I don't see them as often out here on the East Coast. When I was on the West Coast, though, a few years ago, I mean, it was really starting to take off before I had left. So I'm kind of curious what that conversion rate looks like. I was looking at a report, they were talking about 40% of the contractors don't offer financing at all. But when I looked at the leasing platform, just to kind of get a better sense, again, across the nation, it was about 1% was leased. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, though. I think it's got a spot, and I think the younger generation, is looking for something where it's a little less maintenance. They lease it, and then they feel like, everything's included, and they can just, like their car, they don't got to worry about, doing anything else with it, right? They just pay their lease payment.
Yes.
So I don't know.
No, and there has been conversations internally here about maybe creating our own type of lease program, putting something together. I don't know. There's not a huge need for it, and there's There's other moles to whack at the moment. So that's something we're going to probably end up getting back to probably after the summer. But yeah, we're very fortunate. I have 3 really, really good sales guys here, and they do offer financing. One finances a little bit more than the other 2, but it just depends on the jobs and, you know, which ones we have. Because here in the Chapel Hill area, it's mostly, you know, it's either rental houses for the university for students, or it's, you know, people that are fairly well off that live in the Chapel Hill area. So financing is normally never something they really grasp towards, which we do offer it. I think we should finance a little bit more. I get my money quicker sometimes that way, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
I think it's options and presenting things
Yes.
to consumers and showing them here, you know, we can do whatever you like. And again, like you said, JG, you're not trying to hard sell, just presenting options to them. And I think really that consultative sales process and communication, as we maybe hit some lower consumer confidence right now, could be a big deal this year. Just try to really speak to the consumer and say, hey, you know, look, with this unit's down, we can repair it. I just want to let you know, we can replace the fan motor, or you know, maybe it is a compressor or something. And just let them know, hey, that this is a Band-Aid, but you know, maybe this is your best. You know, if it's all you can do, that's the best option. You know, we'll work with you on that. But just knowing, you know, maybe the system replacement is coming, but just trying to, you know, have some empathy, I think, you know, because it's you know, it's tough, somewhat tough times, you know, economically. You know, everything costs more. You know, every time I go to the grocery store, I'm shocked.
Yeah, but you know, it's also creating the culture of just offering those options. So what I'm seeing in our maintenance department, so Shawn, the way we work here is we bring young guys in from the community college. We have a large portion of people who work here that's never worked for another company and has been here many years. So we find good people and teach them the industry. So we are very active with the community college in our area and some high school programs in the area. So we try to grab these young men and women early. And then I have a guy that's kind of head of our maintenance team, Travis. He's used to be a police officer, and we've asked Travis several times now if he wants to step into the service department, and he will do it when we need him to. But he enjoys that maintenance piece of it because the customer service aspect and what he does. But he just offers things, right? So his numbers are off the chart at the moment, and he's just really, because I created this competition internally. And by the way, I didn't offer any monetary prizes. I took a reversing valve and welded a chain to it, so when they win, you know, tech of the month, that's what they get to wear in the meeting. But it's like, so with that said, like, we created this thing, and these are a couple of the things we're trying to hit, just these couple of KPIs, and we don't focus on the revenue number anymore. We focus on the smaller things that we can control: average ticket, turnover rate, you know, that type of stuff. And he's knocking it out of the park. And so everybody's like, well, he's hard selling crap to old ladies. And I'm like, hold on, I don't think he is. So our field manager has actually been riding with him and kind of understand what he's doing. And he said, man, he's the best non-hard selling guy out there. He just goes up to the customer and say, hey, here's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. We have attic tents, we have UV lights, we have these things. Feel free to buy any of it if you would like to. There's some benefits here. And if you don't, that's fine too. I'll be back in 6 months. We can talk about it again. And the field manager's like, it's insane. People are just handing him cash because it's the way he's presenting it. So we have him coaching, you know, our younger guys, and they are riding with him. Yeah. But Travis, shout out to him if he's going to watch this. He's doing a great job for us. He's getting it. He really is.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's features and benefits though too, right? And so many times, I think sometimes, you know, we get kind of in a rut, or we get in a situation where we're in a hurry, right? We're not slowing down and really understanding that, you know, when we say, you know, I got a UV light, well, we know what that means, but you know, most of your homeowners have no idea what that means. Yeah. So
no,
features and benefits.
True. Well, Shawn, we want to say thank you so much. We're right up on an hour. Thank you so much for coming, hanging out with us. It's awesome. We would love to have you back at some point. Once you've, let's get the hook back up after the summer. We'd love to know how your summer went. Kind of what you guys see. You know, I know you talk to Will often. Like, you know, let us know if you guys have an event. We would love to do this podcast live from somewhere. We're still trying to figure that piece out. Yeah. And if you want to do it at the Contractors Island place, like, I'm in. Like, I can travel.
That sounds amazing. I need to reach out to those guys. It's been a minute, so.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you
I
so much.
appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a pleasure, and definitely look forward to doing it again in the future, no doubt about it. So best of luck to you guys, and again, thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Shawn.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Shawn.
I will. We'll see you. See you next week, buddy.